see if there are no objections, I'm going to do that. It's related to the towing of vehicles because there are some students who want to speak on that, and they claim they either had classes or something.
Senate meeting.
Okay, that's what they claim. They have some classes or something for that, and I hope it's classes or something that's dealing with academia.
What number is this, Mayor?
This is 36, be item number 36. We're going to take it out of order at the special request of those students, and I think Commissioner Gilman even had a discussion with them at Vanska, and so we're going to do that. I hope we don't, well, we're going to call them out of order. I hope we don't, I don't know how many we have, but let's go. Okay. Jim Patton. Do you have to announce it, Jim?
Well, let me briefly, while the speaker's coming, Mayor, as you know, and the Commission knows, we do set the maximum rates for towing. This covers both rotation towing, which is vehicles that are called to respond to accidents, as well as the private trespass or roam towing. Our code actually says we are supposed to review this annually. Realistically, we don't ever seem to get that done. I think these rates were last reviewed in 2005. But it is here for public hearing this evening, and there are a number of speakers.
Mayor, first speaker is Jim Patton. He doesn't appear to be here. Next, Patrick Emilian. Give us your name, and you got just 3 minutes, sir. Give us your name and address for the record.
My name and address?
Yes.
Okay. My name is Patrick Jr. Emilian. I'm currently the Director of Office of Legislative Affairs for Florida State University. My address is 1505 West Stark Street, apartment 2933. I reside in Seminole Grand. Okay. If the commissioners will allow me, I just wanted to pass some things out.
All right.
Okay. Okay. I would ask that you don't get intimidated by the packets. Most of it is pretty much just the evidence that I compiled throughout my research. Excuse me, I didn't have enough for the entire panel. First, I would like to bring your attention towards the resolution that was passed by our 60th Student Senate. Pretty much it was passed stating that their staunch disapproval for this proposed increase in rates for tow truck. The way we feel at Florida State University and other universities as well, I got in contact with Andrew Collins at Florida A&M University, and I've also been getting in contact. We also have a constituent from Tallahassee Community College as well who will be prepared to speak. We feel that tow truck rates disproportionately affects the student body here in the city of Tallahassee. If you, I can turn your attention towards my report summary. I would like to just highlight a couple of points. Firstly, the economic pinches across the board. Currently, the state of Florida is going under dramatic budget cuts. Higher education is getting hit the hardest. With our tuition being increased and legislation such as deferred tuition being passed, students are truly suffering. We are feeling the pinch of transportation costs, which has affected us, as well as it being a huge imposition to the student body to impede a tax upon the constituency that keeps the light on for the tow truck companies. The ripples of such a decision would dramatically impact our families as well, because they have to foot the cost for such tax and still handle the burden of this tough time economically. Roughly 8,000 vehicles were towed last year, and with the proposed increase, there will be an influx of nearly $400,000 to these companies. This influx could be best utilized in the households of our struggling student body. I'd like to highlight that point. Also, the proximity of these tow truck companies. In reading their case, their proposed argument is stating that due to the increased gas prices, utilizing the Capitol as a center point and using it as a reference point. When I actually MapQuest each and every one, and you guys can actually look at the appendix in the back. I believe it's it's Appendix D. Utilizing the Capitol as a reference point, there is not one. Out of all the 25 tow truck companies, there's not one tow truck company that's more than 11 miles away. So I feel it's a bit of a stretch when they pretty much make the argument where we have to tow from coast to coast or long distances to to get these vehicles. Also, I'd like to highlight the points. Ethical practices. I feel that right now we're all in a time of need. Everybody's feeling the pinch. Students, yourselves, pretty much your constituency within the city of Tallahassee. And understandably, businesses are feeling the pinch as well. But to reward a business in the sense of pretty much trying to help them alleviate such costs for practicing unethical practices, I feel like is absurd due to one.
Excuse me, your time is expired.
Oh, I'm sorry. Yeah, well, I just like to make a couple quick references. From the Better Business Bureau, only 12 companies are unaccredited. Of those 12 unaccredited companies, 4 of them are actually ranked unsatisfactory. And also, I actually have documented court cases whereas tow truck companies have illegally towed students and illegally towed students, and actually one of the students actually here currently right now would actually like to speak on behalf of that. And because they have yet, within the 2-year time interval, they have yet to seek any restitution from any tow truck company as well. So I'll conclude my presentation.
Thank you very much. Next speaker.
Yes, Cliff Alexander.
Hi, my name is. 2006, my car was illegally towed by Professional Parking Services, and so after it was illegally towed, I tried contacting the company to get a refund, and they just flat out would not cooperate with me. And so a couple months later, in July of 2006, I took them to small claims court, and I showed up. A representative from Professional Parking showed up, Mr. Chester Murray. I'm assuming he's either the owner or manager or something like that. And so we presented our case before the judge, and the court did, in fact, rule in my favor. And so there was a judgment in my favor for roughly about $200 plus interest, and but he still hasn't paid, so that interest is still continually going up. And so after the court ruled in my favor, I tried contacting the company to get my check, basically, and that's really where the story gets kind of funny, because Mr. Murray just flat out would not talk to me, would not return my calls, would never take my calls. There was one particular month where I decided, you know what, I'm just going to call this place one time every single day until I see results, and I did that, and every single time the receptionist came up with some crazy excuse. Either he's out to lunch, he's on vacation, he's out sick, whatever. And I thought they were starting to make a game out of it just because they just wanted to see whatever random excuses they could come up with for that day. So the point is that they would never return my calls. So after that point, I went to the Department of State and filed a lien against their company, and even that did not motivate them to pay. And I believe that lien certificate is included in the packet that you just received. And so pretty much they're never going to pay. And so the last thing I just want to get to real quick is that we're not up here singling out one specific towing company. There are several in Tallahassee that have questionable business practices. And so, excuse me one moment, let me flip to the next page. And so a moment ago, Mr. Milling gave you several, and as well as in your packet, he gave you several reasons why you should not increase the fees tonight. But personally, I just have one reason why you should not do it, and that is because they do not deserve it. And let me say that again, they do not deserve it. So you guys are in a unique position tonight. You are in a position to send a clear message to the Tallahassee towing industry that they need to get their act together. And so I hope you will do so. I urge you to go ahead and make a decision tonight and keep the towing rates unchanged for the 2009 calendar year. Thank you.
Last speaker.
Okay. All right. Commissioner.
Yeah, well, first I want to thank both Patrick and Cliff and the student leaders that organized themselves over at Florida State University.
All the students?
Yes, and I believe maybe all members of the